I was a queen and then a maid for 8 years. I am treated as like I am a bothersome freeloader by my son, Jake. I am a complete embarrassment in my husband David's upscale social circle because he believes I am too slow and out of date to keep up with him. All right, let's see how they function without me if I'm so useless. The house was in disarray the moment I quit working for them as an unpaid domestic. From his room, Jake cried out, "Mom, my art project is where?" His voice sounded frantic and high-pitched. Normally, before he even asked, I would have packed it and placed it next to his luggage. But today is different. No more. Then, with a strong voice, David strode down the hall. "It's almost 9, Lisa. How come you didn't wake me up?" I remained lying in bed, turned over, and shut my eyes. "Lisa!" David tore the covers off of me and said, "What on earth are you doing? No coffee? No breakfast? Nothing?" I shot back at him his own remarks without skipping a beat. "Are you attempting to back out of this, David? Remember how you told me you could manage without me?" His face reddened. No time to quarrel. With half his shirt buttons undone and mismatched socks, he hurried out the door. I almost burst out laughing. Then came Jake running through the house. "Fuck it! My project is where?" His eyes kept flickering toward me, but his mouth grumbled. He was aware that I typically had it prepared. This time, however, I got up, walked right by him without saying anything, and threw him a final shot before making my way to the kitchen. "Walk more quickly if you're running late. Alternatively, are you anticipating a rocket to transport you to school?" Stunned, his mouth fell open. However, he snatched up his backpack and ran out the door after taking one look at the clock. Funny, did they not believe that I was worthless? All right, they could now live their lives without their personal maid. I finally had a quiet morning after they left, or so I believed. My phone continued to ring as I was brushing my teeth. David. Naturally. I choose to disregard it. Then it buzzed once more, louder than before. With a groan, I picked up. "What?" "Lisa," he said in a tight, almost desperate voice. "I believe I left my file at home. Can you help me locate it?" It was something every day. His phone, his wallet, and his keys. In some way, I was always at blame if he forgot. "How many times have I instructed you to check your belongings before leaving, David?" I spoke in a chilly tone. "Additionally, I have a lot on my plate." "I will not deliver your fucking docs." I hung up after that. That felt fantastic, my God. David, however, wasn't going to give up that simply. Message after message buzzed through my phone. "Enough, Lisa. Don't take chances. My manager is breathing down my neck, Lisa. So please hurry up. Are you still there, Lisa? Just check, please. And I ask you, for heaven's sake." The last message was a picture of a check. "This is yours. Bring the file to me." Oh, bribery. Since he was stating it that way, well, I received a call from Miss S. Lewis, Jake's teacher. After I dropped off the paperwork. "Miss S. Would you be able to visit the school, Carter? It is urgent." I felt sick to my stomach. When I arrived at the school in a hurry, Jake was throwing himself at me while crying. "I apologize, Mommy. Don't hit me, please. You didn't have to destroy my project even if I know you're upset." What on earth? I went cold. Then I noticed the cunning sparkle in Jake's eyes, and I instantly knew. That brat was attempting to blame me for his own failure. "You'd like to play some games?" "All right. Come on, let's play." I took hold of his arm, pushed him against the wall, and pulled him away. "Miss S." Lewis came hurrying over. "Miss S. There's no need to be cruel, Carter." I didn't bother to answer. Rather, I took out my phone and pressed the play button. Jake was seen prancing around the living room on the TV, making fun of Miss S. Lewis with inflated facial expressions and a phony, whiny voice. Miss S. Lewis irritates me so much. The mere sight of her makes me want to throw up. Miss S. Lewis's smile grew brittle as her cheeks darkened. Jake is generally a really good student, but he can be a little mischievous. In addition to shaking my head, I rolled up my sleeve to show off a slight bruise. Then I brushed at fictitious tears, letting my voice waver. Jake has been acting out of control lately, but I wasn't going to say anything. Jake's eyes got bigger. "Stop lying, Mom," I gave a sniff. "It's true, Miss S. Lewis. I'm to blame. I ought to have given him more freedom to play video games. As a mother, I failed. I'm so sorry." Miss S. Lewis's face became empathetic. She gave me an arm pat. Jake, on the other hand, was standing there fuming and tightening his fists. I felt nothing for the first time, not even guilt. I gave myself a long spa day now that Jake was out of my hair. I used to live like this before I got married, complete with a shopping spree and an opulent bath. David used to respect me when he said he will always love me. However, everything changed after the wedding. He ceased to exert himself. The meticulous attentiveness gave way to icy apathy. It was natural, I assured myself. You do realize that marriage isn't a fairy tale? I therefore poured myself into being a good mother and wife. Jake was everything to me. My heritage, my blood. I gave him everything I had because I was devoted to him. And at the end, I felt like a burden to both of them. Mom, you have terrible fashion sense. Could you perhaps quit chewing so noisily, Lisa? It's repulsive. I was exhausted from day after day of unrelenting criticism. I hardly recognized myself as my self-esteem began to decline. I made an effort to speak with David about changing things up and finding a job. However, he always shot me down. Jake is still a child. The house needs to be cleaned by someone. Was that accurate? Jake attended elementary school. David's career was flourishing. I was the only one confined. I hardly recognized the lady staring back at me when I looked in the mirror. I had a lifeless face. My soul was exhausted. However, David, powerful, thriving. Time hasn't touched it. I felt sick to my stomach from the contrast. No, I'm not going to be this woman. This is not how I want to live. When they got home that evening, they sat me down with the same self-righteous looks. David stated, "We have some accounts to settle. Pay bills?" Oh, that was going to be enjoyable. I took out a notebook and opened it. "How about we review my schedule?" They squinted. I realized then that I was done serving them. I flipped through my notebook while sitting across from David and Jake, feeling the pressure of their critical gazes. "Get up at 6 in the morning," I said in a harsh, piercing voice. "Breakfast is ready by 6:30. I leave Jake off at school at 8:00. I begin cleaning the house by 9:00. Jake scowled. "Why are you stating this to us?" I ignored him and continued on. When Jake gets home at 3:30, I assist him with his homework, make supper, tidy up, and get him ready for bed. I also vacuum, clean the bathrooms, do the laundry, go grocery shopping, and prepare the meals. The following day, I repeat the entire process. David squinted his eyes. His arms were crossed. "What are you trying to say?" I grinned as I raised my head from the notebook. "I've been doing this every day for years. I put time, energy, and effort into everything I do. Tell me, therefore, how this account should be settled." Jake gave his head a scratch. "This is not how other mothers keep track. The love of a mother should be unconditional, without conditions." It nearly made me chuckle. How convenient, huh? When they desired more from me, they could use this adorable little word to get my attention. I leaned back and snapped the notebook closed. "How about we put that theory to the test?" Jake's mouth parted, then shut again. Nothing to say. David intervened when he realized his son was losing the fight. "He's only a child, Lisa. Is emotionally blackmailing him really necessary? Blackmailing someone emotionally? From him?" That was a lot of money. Leaning in, I spoke in a cool, collected tone. "This house, we both know I bought it, David." His face went white. "You've spent 10 years here. How will that account be settled?" David's mouth clenched. I covered the costs of the household. I cocked my head. "Oh? You mean your monthly contribution of $500? I placed a pile of receipts on the table after taking them out. "The sum? $904.50, and only for the previous month." David's face lost its color. He struggled to make a rebuttal, but then his eyes brightened, as if he had discovered the perfect argument. "I always buy you gifts for the holidays because I know how hard you work, Lisa. Presents." Oh, he desired to visit the place? All right. Do you mean the cheap, half-empty gift sets that you pretend to be considerate? The ones where you hand me the freebie and give your mother the full-sized version? David's lips quirked. "You don't think I saw? You really tried before you got married. Following? The true you emerged." He became agitated. "That's unfair. Unfair?" My voice became piercing. "It's unfair that you were too ashamed to introduce me as your wife, and instead told your friends that I was your cousin." David's face grew serious. "Oh, you assumed I was unaware?" I grinned icily. "Last year at that party, I learned You were called out on it by your pal. What the devil is causing you to lie about your own wife? Do you recall that? David made a tiny line with his lips. He didn't dispute it. Jake, on the other hand, sat still, taking in everything. His eyes darted from me to his father in a fright. The doorbell then rang. David got to his feet, his self-assurance returning. You see? This is why you should relax. He smiled as he walked to the door and opened it. I felt sick to my stomach. Anna, David's mother, stood there with vulture-like eyes and a smile. Daniel! She pushed past him and screamed. I was aware of it. You were never a good fit with Lisa, as I had warned you from the start. I crossed my arms and got up. What a surprise, Anna. She looked me up and down with hardly concealed contempt as she sniffed. She looked about the room, observing the unkempt kitchen and the unwashed clothes. What a catastrophe this house is! No wonder the poor boy is acting out, Anna said, narrowing her eyes at me. What have you been up to all day, Lisa? I gave a charming smile. I'm following your advice. She twitched her face. Pardon me? I leaned back against the wall and said, You always told me that I was lucky to have married David, that I should stop complaining and just serve my family. So I stopped serving and stopped complaining. Jake raced to his granny right away. Mom is being so cruel, Grandma. She refuses to assist me in any way. Anna's eyes shone brightly. You miserable boy. Rest assured, Grandma is now present. I grinned more broadly. That's a really good idea. Why don't you assist Jake with tidying his room? Jake's expression contorted. What? I pushed him in Anna's direction. All okay. Grandma has everything in control. Anna's mouth opened and closed as she froze. Jake looked at his granny. Will you actually make me clean, Grandma? Anna's eyes blinked. Well, I guess. I pivoted on my heel and made my way to my bedroom. Anna's piercing voice pierced the atmosphere behind me. Where are you going, Lisa? I returned the call and said, To nap. Now it's your turn. David's arrogant grin vanished. Jake's expression changed to one of betrayal. Anna, too? She couldn't speak. The mayhem persisted into the following morning. Anna's high-pitched voice filled the home at 7 in the morning. Lisa! Where are the vegetables and eggs stored? My eyelids hardly opened. The house is devoid of food. Pretending to be astonished, Anna blinked. Really? Not a single one? She was trying to find out. I sat up, took the written pledge David had signed weeks prior out of the nightstand, the one in which he vowed he could manage without my help. Do you notice this? I raised it. David called me a worthless freeloader. He and Jake assured me that they would be all right without me. Anna's expression shifted. She made an effort to speak more softly. Couples quarrel all the time, Lisa. Keep things in perspective. Oh, I just noticed it. She gave me the same disdainful glance when we first met. I wasn't suitable for her son at the time. I was too flawed. However, her attitude completely altered the moment she learned that I had a Manhattan flat. She even recommended that I include David's name in the title. She even requested that her name be added. Anna's eyes grew piercing. A woman like you, Lisa, I interrupted her. What? Will you order David to get a divorce from me? Or are you going to give me a personal slap? Anger twisted her face. Anna's hand raised, poised to strike. I swerved with ease. Anna staggered, tripped, and fell to the ground with a crash. David sprang forward, pushed me away, and fell to his knees next to his mother. Anger twisted his face. What the devil is wrong with you, Lisa? Jake, who was standing close, raised his phone and started recording. Oh, this was a setup then. How adorable. I crossed my arms and leaned against the wall. Do you want me to dial 911? I grinned. Or would you rather that I take you to the hospital? Anna, who had been too weak to stand just a moment before, grabbed David's arm and yelled, Take me to the hospital! This woman is not someone I want to see ever again. The faithful little accomplice, Jake, trailed behind them. He grinned and flashed his phone as he walked by me. Adorable. He believed he had won. I gave a gloomy smile. All okay. Try your hardest. Did they desire war? All right. I had only barely begun. The house was very silent after David and Anna had gone to the hospital. Naturally, Jake had accompanied them, most likely still holding his prized phone like a trophy. They genuinely believed they had me in a tight spot. Amateurs. I sprawled out on the couch, poured myself a cup of coffee, and grinned. Let them plot. Allow them to whisper. They had been steamrolling me for the last 8 years, but I had changed. When they returned that night, David appeared arrogant. Too arrogant. My first warning sign was that, with her hand pressed to her forehead as if she had just returned from the edge of death, Anna sat down on the couch. Jake sat beside her, his eyes wide and full of phony worry. David crossed his arms as he stood behind them. David stated sharply, "We need to talk." I put my coffee down. "Oh? What is it about?" David's lips twisted. "My mother was abused by you," I chuckled. "Assault?" I kept my hands off of her. Anna let forth a feeble groan. "You pushed me, Lisa." "No, Anna." "I avoided you," you stumbled. David's grin widened. Jake captured everything on tape. He did, of course. Jake held up his phone, a smirk twitching his lips. "Do you want to view the video?" "Yes," I shrugged. "Give it a go." Jake's grin wavered. "What?" "All right," I said. "Play the tape." Jake paused. He glanced across to David. I smiled broadly as I leaned forward. "Oh, is something wrong?" Jake's grip on the phone intensified. He lowered it slowly. "That's what I thought," I said in a cold tone. "I take it you didn't record the entire thing?" David squinted his eyes. "Lisa," I got to my feet. "Let me be clear. I will send the police my own footage if you attempt to pull that video stunt on me." David's head jerked upward. "Footage?" "Oh, yes," I grinned icily. "Security cameras. The ones I put in 2 years ago, you know. The living room, kitchen, and hallway are all covered. Additionally, I'd be pleased to email the complete recording of Anna attempting to strike me." David's mouth parted, then shut again. Anna's weak act vanished as she sat bolt upright. "You're playing a bluff," David responded. I took out my phone and launched the application. The image of Anna lunging at me with her palm up came on the screen. I'm moving aside. Anna falling by herself. Anna's expression contorted. Jake's jaw fell open. David's gaze froze. I said, "Oops," and shut down the app. I guess the video isn't as helpful as it once was. Anna's expression clouded. "You wouldn't dare, Lisa." I grinned. "Give me a try." David's jaw tightened as he stepped toward me. "You're making this worse, Lisa." "Am I?" I tilted my head. "I believe I've made everything very clear." At his sides, David's hands clenched into fists. "All right, want to go dirty? We'll see how you respond to this." I arched an eyebrow. "Oh? What comes next?" David's smile became threatening. "After you leave the house, we'll see how you handle things." I went cold. David went on, "You've been taking advantage of me for years. This residence? I covered the cost. The bills have been paid by me." I chuckled. "You've paid $500 a month, David." "Is this house covered by that?" Jake interrupted. "That is correct. You are not employed." "You're not even employed." "Oh?" My arms were crossed. "The property taxes were paid by whom? The loan? The fixes?" David's mouth moved. "That's correct," I muttered. "Me." David's grin faded. "The house is still legally in my name." "Oh." It was there. He believed he held the trump card. I retrieved a manila folder from the filing cabinet and placed it on the table. "These are the records of the purchases. I am the owner of the deed. This house was purchased by me. You never made a single contribution to it." Something nasty distorted David's face. "That's unfair, Just." My voice became piercing. "You think it's okay to watch me manage this house like a hotel while you make fun of me behind my back?" Although David's mouth opened, no sound was released. Jake had a pallid face. Anna was astounded as well. "Lisa," began David. "No," I interrupted him. "You desired autonomy? You've got it." David's gaze flickered. "Are you suggesting that I'm being kicked out?" "Oh no," I grinned. "I'm offering you choices." David's expression tensed. "You have 2 options. Pay the rent in full or vacate." Anna leaped off the sofa. "You can't possibly," Lisa said. I extended a hand. I looked to Jake and said, "Save it. Jake, you can stay if you'd want. However, you would need to lift your own weight, which is something you have never done before." Jake's lips twisted. "I can't be forced to do that." "You're correct," I replied. "I am unable to force you to do anything. However, I am also not required to continue preparing your meals, cleaning your clothes, or packing your schoolwork." Jake's face reddened. Anna's eyes were blazing. David, please speak. A sour smirk twisted David's mouth. You're being dramatic, Lisa. Am I? I approached and unlocked the front door. Then you won't mind locating a place of your own. David's gaze expanded. You have a week. At last, David's mask came off. A sneer formed in his mouth. You're playing a bluff. I grinned. Give me a try. David's mouth moved. All right. He whirled around, snatched his jacket, and stalked to the door. You're going to regret this. I doubt it. He rushed out. Jake paused, his gaze darting between his grandmother and me. With her mouth squeezed into a narrow line, Anna stood up. Stiffly, Anna answered, I'll speak with him. That's what you do, I said. Jake's expression contorted. Are you really throwing us out? I pressed myself up against the wall. No, Jake, I'm going to let you be independent. Did you not want that? Jake squinted his eyes. You'll regret it, will I? David went out the door, followed by Jake and Anna. With each step they walked, I felt the weight leave my chest as I watched them go. After locking the door behind them, I stood and listened to the quiet. The house truly felt like mine for the first time in years. David's first text message arrived later that evening. Stop being such a baby, Lisa. You are not going to get a good outcome from this. I blocked his number and grinned. The following day, Jake's school called me. Miss S. Jake skipped his first 2 courses, Carter. Is everything all right? It nearly made me chuckle. No longer my problem. That evening, David sent a second text. I'm serious, Lisa. It's not over yet. I blocked him once more after staring at the screen. This seemed like a game to David. He still believed that I had given up. Let him think that. I had stopped playing. David returned with a stumbling gauntlet after exactly 3 days. Little things were the first. Jake's school called again first. Miss S. Jake has skipped 2 more lessons, Carter. We are becoming increasingly worried. I grinned. Jake's presence is not my responsibility. That is currently being handled by his father. On the other end, the woman paused. Oh, whatever. We tried calling Mr. Carter, but he didn't pick up. Obviously not. It's likely that David was unaware that Jake was even missing school. Making sure Jake was awake, dressed, and out the door was always my responsibility. Without a GPS, David had no idea where Jake's school was. Not my problem anymore, though. Then the texts arrived. Jake's grades are declining, Lisa. Are you able to speak with him? Jake says he's hungry, Lisa. Have you prepared dinner? Where is Jake's math workbook, Lisa? You moved it, he says. I disregarded each and every one. David arrived at the door on the 4th day. Unshaven and with black circles under his eyes, he had a rugged appearance. His hair stood up as if he had just rolled out of bed, and his shirt was crumpled. I blocked the entrance with my arm and opened the door. What are you looking for? David smiled artificially at me. Can we talk, Lisa? For a long moment, I looked at him. Then I moved out of the way. You have 5 minutes to do this. After entering, David lay down on the couch and wiped his face. I need assistance, he declared. Jake is not paying attention to me. I folded my arms. And you believe I'm interested because? David's head jerked upward. He is your son. Oh, I apologize, I said. I believed that I was a freeloader, a housewife who is lazy. Do you recall? David's mouth clenched. This isn't funny, Lisa. You're correct, I replied. It's hilarious. David's gaze flickered. Jake is misbehaving because of you, I chuckled. You're holding me responsible for this? You made him seem bad. With his hands balled into fists, David stood. You made him look bad in front of his instructor. You are causing him to fall apart. My smile vanished. Oh, I see. It was all you when Jake was getting awards and doing well on tests. But now when he's struggling, I'm to blame? David moved in my direction. He squinted his eyes. You are needed by Jake. So perhaps Jake ought to have considered that before calling me repulsive and claiming that I wasn't his mother. David's expression contorted. He is a child. He didn't mean it. I gave a chilly smile. It's funny. When he said it, he sounded pretty damn certain. David's face became stern. I'm trying to fix this, Lisa. Repair it? I took a step forward, speaking sharply. You're not attempting to make anything better. You're attempting to realign me. You're looking for a maid, not a partner. David's face turned red. That isn't accurate. I arched an eyebrow. No? Obviously not. his tone become piercing. Everything is being twisted by you. I didn't say you had no value, oh? My smile got bigger. So why did I hear you telling your pals that women should be treated with respect? David closed his mouth abruptly. His expression clouded. Yes, I said. I heard that. It's funny how you feel powerless now that I don't know my place. David's mouth clenched. Be reasonable, Lisa, I said. I'm being reasonable. For the first time in a long time. David's eyes became gloomy. You're not giving this much thought. I moved in closer. I've actually been considering this for 8 years, David. David's lips parted, but before he could say anything, boom, boom, boom. Someone pounded on the front door, causing it to tremble. David's expression contorted. What the devil? I approached and unlocked the door. Anna stood there with her face contorted in barely restrained anger, wearing her go-to pearls and an overly tight sweater combo. Lisa. Her eyes darted erratically. We must speak. I rested my weight on the doorframe. How about? Anna had a tight smile. Regarding the way you have been handling my son and grandson. My smile remained fixed. Oh? Does Jake's lack of attendance at school have anything to do with this? Or about David's inability to simply prepare dinner without setting the home on fire? Anna's mouth became thinner. Let's not play games, Lisa. The mother is you. It is your responsibility to look after them. No, Anna. I widened my grin. It was my responsibility. No more. Anna squinted her eyes. Do you believe you can simply leave? I gave a shrug. It appears that I have already. Anna stepped forward. You've always been obstinate, Lisa. However, you must consider Jake's best interests. Ah, I replied. You're worried about Jake now? Anna's gaze flickered. Pardon me? I folded my arms and said, Oh, come on. Jake was never important to you. Looks were important to you. You could tell your country club friends how great your family was as long as Jake was well-behaved and doing well in school. But you're here all of a sudden now that Jake is slipping? Anna's expression contorted. Are you curious about the truth? My voice trailed off. You're the reason Jake is a disaster. David was brought up to believe that women were expendable by you. David also brought Jake up in the same manner. Anna's jaw sprang open in shock. You unappreciative little... I interrupted her by moving forward. Leave. Anna's eyes got bigger. What? You heard me, I said in a chilly tone. Please leave my house. Anna's face turned red with anger. This is impossible. Oh, but I can, I said with a smile. Because this residence? I own it. Anna's mouth moved back and forth. Then, with fiery eyes, she turned to face David. David, please speak. David had a pallid face. He parted his lips and remained silent. Anna's expression contorted in revulsion. Pathetic. Storming out, she turned on her heel. Like a puppy that has been booted, David stood there and stared at the door. He opened and closed his mouth. At last, he muttered, Please, Lisa. I approached him gently, halted a few inches away from his face. You're not allowed to beg, I added quietly. Desperation flashed in David's eyes. Lisa, I muttered, you had your chance. 8 years of opportunities. David's expression tensed. You're going to regret this, I grinned. No, really, I won't. David looked at me for a while. Then a snarl twisted his lips. You believe you've triumphed? Oh, David. I grinned more broadly. You haven't even witnessed the start of this. David's lips curled. He pivoted and strode in the direction of the door. I called for him just before he went outside. David? His hand was on the door when he paused. I advised him to inform Jake that I was no longer his maid. David's jaw clenched. Then he went away. And I didn't see him leave this time. I turned to face the empty house after locking the door. Mine. It was mine at last. For the first time in years. It took David 2 weeks to get in touch with me. No phone calls. Don't text. No pitiful justifications about Jake's need for me. I nearly believed that he had finally understood the message. Nearly. Then, at approximately 9 o'clock in the evening, someone knocked on the door. Before I ever opened it, I knew who it was. David appeared rugged as he stood there in the porch light. His eyes were bloodshot, his shirt was crumpled, and his hair was disheveled. He appeared to be defeated. Lisa, he said. He spoke in a strained, low voice. We must speak. I folded my arms. Why? David let out a sigh. Jake is the issue. I rested my weight on the doorframe. How about him? David's expression contorted. It's not good for him. I arched an eyebrow. It's not my problem. David's eyes became gloomy. Half of his classes are failing. He is being threatened by his teachers to be held back. He is misbehaving at school. And who is to blame for that? David's mouth clenched. Come on, Lisa. He is also your son. You believe I'm unaware of that. My voice became piercing. However, you made it quite evident that I was no longer welcome in his life. So, sort it out. David's jaw dropped, closed after that. He took a deep swallow. He misses you. I chuckled. Oh, really? He referred to me as a repulsive witch. He said that I wasn't his biological mother. It's funny that when his life falls apart, he suddenly recalls me. David's expression curled in exasperation. Stop, Lisa. He is a child. He didn't mean it. I leaned closer. David, that's the problem. He meant it. David's gaze flickered. You can't simply leave him. You mean how you left me behind? David's face went white. That isn't equivalent, isn't it? I took a step forward. You dismissed me when I pleaded with you to see me and asked for assistance. Claimed that I was exaggerating. However, you want me to rush in now that you're the one drowning? David's lips curled. He raised his hand to me and said, Please, Lisa. I recoiled. Avoid it. David's hand fell away. His face twisted. I don't know how to fix this, Lisa. I don't have that problem anymore. David's breathing became labored. He massaged his face with his hands. Come home, please. I chuckled. David, I'm home. I've always owned this house. In a whisper, David said, I meant Jake. He needs you. No, David. A father that does not treat his mother like trash is what he needs. David's jaw clenched. He's only a child. When I fell in love with you, I was too. One interrupted. When I believed you would always keep me safe. David's expression froze. I gave a headshake. And see where I ended up. David's jaw dropped, but then I noticed it. Something flickered behind his eyes. He wasn't depressed. He had no regrets. He was in a grave situation, anxious for me to tidy up his mess, desperate for me to do my usual function of picking up the shards of his life. I'm not returning, I muttered. David's lips twisted. He lost his mask. Lisa, I mean it, I interrupted. I'm finished. David's expression grew stern. You're doing something wrong, I grinned. No, the error was yours. You're paying for it now. Anger surged in David's eyes. Avoid doing this. I took a step back and seized the door. Good night, David. David's lips curled. He started to say something else, but, however, I shut the door in his face. That should be the end of it, I thought. It wasn't. Jake arrived after 2 days. He was standing on the porch with his rucksack draped over one shoulder when I heard the knock and answered the door. His eyes were rimmed in red and his face was pallid. He appeared fragile. Mom. I folded my arms. What are you looking for? Jake's lips clenched. May I enter? After a moment of hesitation, I moved aside. He entered and stood clumsily, shuffling from foot to foot, in the center of the room. Jake said, I need to talk to you. I pointed to the armchair and took a seat on the couch. All right. Jake dropped his shoulders and sat down. I'm sorry, for what purpose? Jake took a deep breath. He balled his hands into fists, for calling you repulsive, for claiming that you weren't my mother. I reclined. What was different? Jake's expression contorted. Dad's girlfriend. My heart became constricted. Melody? Jake gave a nod. His lips quivered. At first, she was pleasant. However, everything changed after she gave birth to her child. I cocked my head. How did it change? Jake's fists gripped his knees more tightly. She began pressuring me to do everything. Dishwashing, laundry, and infant cleanup. And when I made a mistake, his sleeve came up. His forearm had a slight bruise. I gasped. Did she hit you? Jake's lips curled. She accused me of being lazy. I was unappreciative, that I was an inconvenience. My stomach turned over. My face remained composed despite the sudden and intense outburst of wrath. So, I said in a firm voice, you get it now. Jake's gaze flickered. That's unfair, no, Jake. I grew sterner. You did nothing but watch them treat me like a maid. When I was made fun of, when I was humiliated by them, it's occurring to you now. Jake's lips clenched. Mom, I shook my head, saying, no. You can't apologize because things got difficult. Jake's face fell flat. Tears were streaming from his eyes. I have nowhere else to go, Mom. I got to my feet, approached the window. Painfully, my heart twisted. I sighed after that. Jake, I murmured. You made a decision. Jake's head jerked upward. But you selected them, I said. Now accept it. Jake's expression turned horrified. One day, you'll understand, I said. When you're older, when you become a parent yourself. Jake gasped for air. He opened his mouth, but I interrupted him. You broke my heart, I muttered. I also owe you nothing. Tears welled up in Jake's eyes. He got up. Mom, goodbye, Jake. Jake's lips quivered. He approached the door slowly. At the doorway, he paused and looked back over his shoulder. Please, Mom. I gave a head shake. Jake, you are loved. However, you cannot return from this. Jake's face fell flat. Then he left. With tears in my eyes, I watched him go. However, I didn't go after him. Because I was no longer that lady. I had freedom. And I wasn't turning around this time. In the end, Jake returned to his father. 2 months later, Melody and David were divorced. As it happens, the baby wasn't really his. Startling. After that, I received sad, groveling texts from David pleading for another chance to get in touch with me. I blocked each and every one. Jake, I've heard that after turning 18, he moved out. Never got back to me. And truthfully, it was all right. I created a new life, obtained a new position, made new acquaintances, discovered who I am. Additionally, I've never in my life, I felt content.